of the morning is with you, Thuthukile Zuma. You are the ANC Regional Executive Committee member in Johannesburg. Good morning. Welcome to the program. And of course, we're talking about the renaming of Sandton Drive to Leila Khaled Drive. And there's been obviously certain sections of the community suggesting that, or rather pushing back on that matter, because, of course, number one, Sandton Drive is where the US Embassy is located, and certain quarters are also suggesting that it's an insult to them. But what about these brave men and women, Leila Khaled being one of those liberation fighters for the rights of Palestinian people? She is a friend of South Africa. She visits here often. And obviously, we want to honor her and honor the issue around freedom of expression and the issue around the Palestinians and their struggle for survival. A very good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to the listeners. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Okay, your thoughts on this matter?
Yes, thank you for having us. So in 2018, the city of Joburg passed a council resolution to rename Sandton Drive Leila Khaled Drive. I don't think, a coincidence that now in 2023, which is almost 6 years later, the city has started the public participation process, or embarked on a public participation process, which closes today. And it also is the month in which we mark a year of the atrocities that we've been seeing in the ongoing genocide in Gaza as a result of the escalation of violence that started last year. And so we're saying, as we were saying 6 years ago as the ANC, that we think it's very important that we Sandton Drive to Leila Khaled Drive. And there's a number of reasons. The first is that international solidarity work is very important for oppressed people all over the world. In South Africa, we probably would not have attained freedom when we did if it wasn't for the international solidarity that was all over the world, where people from all walks of life took to the streets on a number of campaigns against the anti-apartheid government, whether it was about boycotts and sanctions, whether it was about Free Mandela. International solidarity played a key role in our struggle and assisted to free us from the clutches of the apartheid regime. In addition to that, oftentimes women are left out of the history books. Women struggle and they play such a meaningful role and continue to play a meaningful role in many liberation struggles. But when we talk about history and our heroes, oftentimes we talk about the men and we overlook the women. So we thought it was very important to elevate a very significant woman freedom fighter for the Palestinian cause. In addition to that, the city of Joburg and the city of Ramallah have a twinning agreement. In fact, we gifted the city of Ramallah a very big statue of Nelson Mandela, which is up even today in the West Bank. And this is but one example, right? But Nelson Mandela, Winnie Mandela, and many other, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, many South African heroes have found themselves all across the world, whether it's stadiums named after them, streets, squares, statues, etc., celebrating us, our struggle, and the role that they played. And we are doing the same. And so we think it's really important. Leila Khaled has really, really been an exemplary figure of, the fight for Palestinian freedom, the fight, to end the occupation, and the fight for the Palestinian people. And we think it's important that we, commemorate and celebrate her and her contribution, her continued contribution. But also it's important that we make sure that we never forget about the plight of the Palestinian people. And part of, renaming our streets is so that it remains embedded in our consciousness and in our daily lives. We must remember the plight of the Palestinians, the same way that people remembered the plight of the South Africans when we were fighting for our liberation. And so
absolutely. BDS has been fully behind this matter, BDS and other such activist organizations. But way back in 2019, we understand that the DA obviously, in particular, at the time, Herman Mashaba was pushing back regarding this name change. And it's taken a long time for us to get to this point. People, obviously, very especially in light of the genocide playing out in Palestine, people believe that this has to happen because it would probably resonate with people with conscience, will it not?
So I think, unfortunately, because of the instability that we've been seeing as a result of, coalition governments that have been in the city of Johannesburg, where different political parties and different types of coalition take over from the other, there hasn't been a consistency, which is why it's taken so long for the resolution to be passed. Because, as you have alluded, after the resolution was passed, we then did have a different government which has a totally different, approach and thinking to some of these issues. The DA has been opposed to the renaming, and they've been quite vocal about that, and actually so has Action SA. But it doesn't surprise us, The DA is a political party that was formed through a merger of two political parties that were in the parliament of apartheid. But over and above that, their behavior in democratic South Africa, taking to court legislation that seeks to advance transformation in our country, whether it be affirmative action, the NHI, the DA is always opposed to policies and laws that seek to really, really push the transformation agenda. And so we don't expect to see the DA in the progressive, side of things. And so we're not shocked by that. What we are encouraged by and what keeps us going is that the people are really, really in solidarity with the people of Palestine. They support the call that there must be a ceasefire immediately, and that there must be a solution, the end of the occupation, and a solution for the Palestinian people. And we, in that light, are calling upon peace-loving South Africans who find themselves on the side of oppressed people, who find themselves on the side of human rights, freedom, and dignity, to really, really make their voices and support the call of the renaming of Sandton Drive to Leila Khaled Drive. Of course, as well, there's the U.S. consulate, which currently is on Sandton Drive, and I'm sure that is part of what is putting a lot of pressure on the DA and the likes to fight this renaming. But I think it's very important to note that South Africa belongs to South Africans. It does not belong to the United States of America. And we can rename any street that we want to rename according to what we think is correct, what we think is morally just and justifiable. And so a street in South Africa is for South Africans to decide what that street is called. It's not for Americans to decide that. And needless to say, I'm sure we all know the role that America is playing in terms of supporting and militarily supporting the Israeli army and the Israeli government, and how that has sustained this genocide and the 75-year-old struggle of the Palestinian people, which started the same year that apartheid South Africa started, actually. There are so many parallels to the struggles of the Palestinians and the struggles of South Africans. And so we think it's really important that South Africa leads the struggle, because there's no other country that knows the plight of the Palestinians better than South Africa, because of the parallels in the struggles and the similarities in how the oppression and the colonialism and the conquest has taken place. And so we need to lead that struggle. We're encouraged that even though the DA and the likes may not be in support, ordinary people stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine and support the call for the renaming.
Absolutely. And I kind of wonder if the American consulate will not perhaps relocate after Sandton Drive is renamed Leila Khaled Drive. And I say that with tongue in cheek. Be that as it may, the DA and other such parties have suggested that renaming Sandton Drive is a waste of money. The money could be better put to use by funding additional clinics, education, etc., etc. But of course, we do know that there's also a hidden agenda there. They're being pushed by Zionism or Zionist ideologies. And also there's also issues around corruption. So it's fine for them to talk about all of those supposedly very service orientated issues, but why do they not put pressure in areas where service delivery is dismal, if not non-existent, and put pressure in those areas rather than fighting the fight against Sandton Drive should not be renamed?
The DA has proven over the past 10 to 5 years that they know nothing about, management of finances. Look at the city of Tshwane, look at the city of Johannesburg. After the DA-led coalition, both of those cities were deep in the red. In the city of Joburg, we're starting now to see some recovery from that financial, decline. In the city of Tshwane, they've got a mountain to climb, and that's at the hand of the DA administration. That's the first thing. But secondly, as well, while we are very concerned about service delivery and things that we need to deliver to our people, the two are not mutually exclusive. We can't forget our history. We can't forget about the plight of oppressed people on the basis that we feel that we have to focus on other areas. Our priority as the ANC is services to our people and making sure we transform this country and it's equitable and everybody has economic opportunities. That's our priority. But we will never forget who we are. We will never forget our history. We will never forget to stand on the side of the oppressed people who stood on our side. By the way, Palestine has supported the struggle, the anti-apartheid struggle, throughout the years. And we can never forget that. And we will never forget that. The two are not mutually exclusive. The fight to ensure that we undo the decay of the city that was caused by the DA administration is our number one priority. But we can never forget about the people of Palestine. We can never forget about the plight of the women and children and the people who are buried in rubble and the over 40,000 people declared dead, the people who are buried in rubble, the people who were burnt alive just 2 days ago. The two are not mutually exclusive. You can be absolutely committed to service delivery and transformation in South Africa, which we are, but at the same time, stand on the side of the people, oppressed people of the world who want freedom, dignity, and equality. The two are not mutually exclusive at all.
Okay, let's wrap up then, Thuthukile, and your thoughts. We understand, I spoke to Media Review Network just before you came on board, and they were saying that the signatures are going to be presented to council tomorrow. According to Media Review Network, they've collected 6,000, I think, 6,000 signatures in favor of Sandton Drive being renamed to Leila Khaled Drive. What is the sense you getting regarding this matter?
Yes. Yeah, we've also been engaged. I mean, the campaign for the renaming started for us in earnest last year, the reigniting once we had now a more progressive government in the city. It started last year. We did a picket in November last year, advocating for them to implement the council resolution. And we've been really ongoing with this campaign, and it's been so well received from all walks of life, whether civil society, universities, ordinary residents. It's really been quite well received, and there's been a lot of submissions, thousands of submissions that we know for sure are in favor of the decision or the proposal by the city. So we're quite confident that the majority of people will support this proposal. And also, over and above that, it's in line with our national government stance. Our national government took to the international stage and the international arena, went to the ICJ and fought for the people of Palestine and showed solidarity in real terms, took the matter legally, and it's still in the ICJ. The matter is still, sub judice, so to speak. We've had some judgments, but we're continuing and pursuing others. And so this move would be in line even with our national government stance of solidarity and standing with the people of Palestine. And I think people know that, which is why there's been quite an overwhelming support to that. But of course, the process is transparent. We live in a democratic South Africa. And so today is the closing date of the submissions. I don't believe that they would have a sense tomorrow on what the submissions are because they have to be processed. And these things take some time, but I know in the next week or two, we'll be able to sense, and luckily the city processes are quite transparent. They actually allow a process where we can come and view what the public participation has said, and we'll be, front row and take a keen interest in that. But we're quite confident from where we sit.
Thuthukile Zuma, ANC Regional Executive Committee member in Johannesburg, thank you indeed for your thoughts on this very important matter, and fingers crossed that the renaming will go ahead and that truly will resonate with all of us here in South Africa. So thank you. Thank you indeed. Go well and God bless.
Inshallah. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. It is exactly 13 after 10 o'clock. Thank you for being with us. I do hope that you've enjoyed all the interviews as much as we've enjoyed having you on board. From me, Julie Ali, till next week, Monday. As always, take care on the roads. Assalamu alaikum and Khudafiz.